Lineup tonight at the DNC showcasing the Democrats' strengths as well as their challenges going forward. Atlanta News First Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe is here with a closer look at that. Brendan?
Yeah, Tracy, all eyes on Chicago. President Biden is, of course, the sitting president, but he represents the party's present and its past. 2016 Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton also harkens back to the past. So here's the challenge. How does the DNC promote the candidate of tomorrow while still touting the accomplishments of yesterday? Vice President Kamala Harris has energized the Democrats just weeks after the party faithful were fearing defeat at the hands of former President Donald Trump, with a Republican convention that was universally praised for its consistent messaging. President Biden's age had been the #1 issue that the GOP was highlighting. Now the script has been flipped, and Donald Trump is portrayed as the candidate of old, with the Democrats coining the phrase, "We aren't going back." Harris will have to simultaneously take credit for all of the Biden administration's successes while portraying herself as the candidate of the future. Some familiar, if not older faces, including 2 former presidents and 1 current one, will remind voters what the Democrats traditionally stood and stand for, while Harris attempts to thread the needle between now and then. Tracy?
Brendan.